Hi everyone, my name is Ryan Jones and I want to welcome you to this quick demonstration video of the Portfolio Builder through PDS Trader. And so what I've done here is I've created a new portfolio, fairly simple, just go to Portfolios and then create new one. I title it, so 31918 Demo, that's the title. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by typing in a symbol and I'm going to use SPY and hit Update. And what it will do is it will bring up the option chain for SPY. And so it starts with 319 and then you can go to 321. You just scroll down all the way through all of the different expirations that SPY has, which by the way are on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday now. And now you can choose to show how many strikes. So I can do 12, for example, and that'll shorten up my option chain. But what I do, it's very, very simple, is I can sell. I just click on sell, and as soon as I click on sell, what happens is it places that into a graph, a projection graph, and it's always based on the date of the short call. So this is the projection. If I just simply sell an option based on that, based on the date of the short call. And then I can add to that. And so I can say we'll do a buy, and I'm going to add that to the existing graph. Now, if I wanted to create another graph, I just say add to a new risk graph, but I'm going to put it in the existing graph. And as you can see, now it gives me a projection based on this spread. And if this is too much, and you can see it gives you details of the projection, but sometimes the aspect ratio is not very good. So I can go and change the price range that I'm looking at. So I'll go 267 and then let's say 280, and then that gives me a much better aspect with regard to the projection. Okay, so I can go here and I can see uh, the spread has a debit of 12, so the risk to the downside is only $12, a potential of $50 gain, and then the risk to the upside if the market does move up is eventually about a little over $100, and then you can just go from there. Now, there are a lot of projection graphs that allow you to do this, but what they don't allow you to do is they don't allow you to test a lower volatility, for example. And so here I can go in here and I can say, okay, well, that's the current volatility. What happens if by the time this thing expires, I'll drop the volatility a little bit. The risk doesn't change. The risk is set, right? You cannot increase the risk, but you'll notice the profit potential is a little bit less. Instead of upwards of $50, it's about $33 on this particular spread. So not the greatest opportunity here in the world, but I can also change the prices and I can say, okay, well, what if I, instead of going for a 12-cent debit, what if I go for uh, uh, an even price? All right, so if I can put an order in, right? I'm not locked into this 12-cent debit. I can say, okay, I'm going to go for an even price. And if I can get filled on that, then this is my projection. So I can change all of that around and start to create a plan with what price I want to be filled at in order to meet my risk reward metrics, right? So then I can add as many of these as I want. So let's say I want to add a little bit more premium in there, and so I'll add that. And then I want to add, obviously I don't want unlimited risk, so I need to buy something, so I'll go ahead and I'll buy that, and I'll add that, and now it adds both of those to the graph, as you can see, and it changes the graph quite a bit. And I can do the same thing, and I can say, okay, well, what if I want something a little bit different? All right, so let's change that back to the original. And by the way, if I ever change any of this and I want to change it back, all I got to do is hit update leg price, and it will change anything that I've changed. It will go ahead and change it back, so I can play around with that as often as I want. So I've got 4 legs in this option. What if I want to say, okay, well, how do these work together as a group? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide these. I'm going to say add a group, add a new group, and then I'm going to go over here, and while this is highlighted, I'm going to go add that to group one, add that to group one, and then I'm going to add a new group, and I'm going to go down here and put these other two in the other group. And so now what it's doing is it's giving me three graphs. The projected P&L, overall projected P&L, is the blue, and then it's dividing group one and group two so I can see how those interact with one another. And if I don't want to show one of these groups, I can do that, or I can do that, and that way I can toggle on and off what I want to look at. Now, I can go up here, and once I get a certain number here, I'm going to save my changes. And the reason I'm going to save my changes is so I can reference this in the future if I want. And so with that, once I do that, I can take a look at one or all aspects of all of these legs. And I can do this for as many groups as I want, and I can add as many legs as I want in here, and I can add as many groups as I want, and it will just keep adding the groups and the lines on the graph, and away I go. All right, so this is how I build my trades and how I plan out my trades. And by the way, you can also exit. So let's say I get into this trade and I want to exit some portion of this trade. If the market goes in my favor, I can simply click to add exit details for this leg, and I will click that, and I'm going to say, okay, well, I'm going to put an order in to get out at 20, and if I get out at 20, then this is how that affects the risk graph. So I'll go up here and I'll save the changes. It will redraw everything. Now you can see something interesting here. I'll go ahead and toggle off group 1 and 2, and you can see that by taking a partial profit, I now have a risk-free projection trade. And I have unlimited profit potential to the upside, and I have a pretty good profit locked into the downside. A simple little move like that in exiting one of the shorts early will produce some great results, but that's not for this video. I'm just showing you how I plan a trade out and how I use PDS trade. It's absolutely indispensable for my trade planning. It's indispensable for my trade planning. So, all right, I hope you have enjoyed this quick demonstration, and I hope you enjoy PDS Trader.